And welcome to the JAMEEL RAWLS show. And today we're going to go over hip hop and rap music. Recently, I did an interview on the entertainment industry, which I have some insight and valuable information into, studying changes in music trends over the years. Right now, I want to take a moment to, give some attention to the Nipsey Hussle tragic event. Nipsey Hussle, unfortunately, passed recently, lost his life. And Nipsey Hussle really intrigued me. I didn't know who he was up until a few years ago. And when I started listening to him, one of the first songs I came across, it was through a music video. And in the music video, you could see him taking clips of the Black Panther Party and putting them in his video. Now, Nipsey comes from an area of South Central known as the Slauson area, which gave rise to a well-known street organization known as the Los Angeles Crips. Now, one of the biggest things about that a lot of people don't know is the struggle and strain people have come from that area. Raymond Washington, who came out of that area, often, and with Tookie and all these people who gravitated out of that area, they go back to a much older history of the Black Panther Party, of Bunchy Carter, who was known as the mayor of the ghetto, who came from a small street gang called the Slauson Renegades, but he himself was establishing the Los Angeles chapter of the Black Panther Party. Unfortunately, he was assassinated. After his assassination, and around the area and the era, you had the Army National Guard and the United States military invade South Central and Watts. And people like Raymond Washington and a lot of these guys who had grown up under people like Bunchy Carter, they watched the United States military shoot and basically murder helpless, defenseless black people. This was during the riots. It was very rough and horrible. And that's where this organization known as the Crips came from. A bunch of guys who sat there and watched the United States military invade the inner city, shoot and beat up their family members, shoot their friends, kill their friends. People went to jail. It was a horrible time. A lot of horrible things happened at that time. And so people like Raymond Washington sat there and watched all this stuff. Unfortunately, with the leadership of the civil rights era declining in the late 60s, you didn't have people like the Black Panther Party and the various other civil rights organizers around to keep these younger youth in touch with themselves. So street gangs quickly took upon leadership, and they grew quickly out of that era. And so Nipsey Hussle, very intelligent, very wise man, very true to his roots, displayed that in his music videos. He talked often about that, growing up as a Crip in that area from the Rolling 60s neighborhood. And, the interesting thing is, I'm from Muskegon, Michigan. My father and his friends were in Muskegon Heights, Michigan at the same time that Judson Baycott was growing up in Muskegon Heights, Michigan. And lo and behold, Judson Baycott moved from Muskegon Heights, Michigan to South Central Los Angeles, and Judson Baycott, along with Tookie and Raymond Washington, co-founded the Crips. And Judson Baycott is the oldest living co-founder of the Crips. And Judson Baycott went to prison over the murder robbery that he allegedly committed. At the Hollywood Palladium with I believe it was Robert Bilal. He had a leather coat stolen from him, and the allegations were that Judson Baycott was involved in it. And so Judson Baycott unfortunately spent some time in the penitentiary due to these accusations, and now Judson Baycott appears to have a book. He's an educator, and Judson Baycott's brother is known as the founder of the 8-Tray Gangster Crips, which gave rise to Sanika Shakur, who wrote the autobiography of an LA gang member. And Sanika Shakur is a wonderful author. He also authored a book called Thug Life. Sanika Shakur has been on the History Channel. He has given great insight into the phenomenon of South Central Los Angeles and the black community. And so that's how small the world is, that all these people grew up at the same time, around the same era. And I think Nipsey Hussle's death, which I'm not saying is, which I'm not saying is gang related, but I'm saying his death signifies. I think it was a member I think it was somebody who was a part of Nipsey Hussle's neighborhood actually that was accused of his murder. But you know, whether the individual did it or not, hopefully, you know, hopefully he you know, he inside, you know, inside he's moving towards a better place, you know, and the people who've been affected by this, hopefully they're moving to a better place inside. And just to watch Nipsey Hussle graduate from doing mix CDs and mixtapes to become an entrepreneur, owning a store, doing music in New York, doing music all over the world, to watch him go through that transition to having his own store. And unfortunately, this event happened and him dying, you know, that was really sad to watch that happen. I think a lot of people were very intrigued by Nipsey. He was very intelligent. He had a lot to offer. And I was excited. I was watching his music videos about 2 weeks ago, right before this happened. And I was watching the Slauson Boys music video. I was watching all his music videos. I really enjoyed listening. I thought Nipsey was a really, 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 really good, you know, I foresaw him coming out with movies, sort of like Tupac, how Tupac came out with Bullet and Poetic Justice. That's how I saw Nipsey. That's where I saw Nipsey at. It's getting into the film industry. And Nipsey had been on, wasn't a movie or a TV show or something before this, but I foresaw him coming out with a lot more stuff. And man, the history of that the area and the era that he came from was, you know, magnificent. You know, I remember I was doing research on the 1960s. I would continuously come across those guys. You know, matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine not that long ago about the 60s and about what was going on in South Central in the 60s and stuff. And that's what I like about Nipsey, is he was placing the Panthers in his music and stuff, and he had a strong connection to his history. And so, you know, this is the JAMEEL RAWLS show, and so I just want to take some time out to say my views on that, and hope that, you know, people learn from this. And because if somebody has to pick up a gun and kill somebody, obviously the situation has gone too far already. For him to go from a confrontation with an individual to somebody ending up dead and somebody ending up in jail, the situation went too fast, too quick, you know. And hopefully individuals in the future, in the entertainment industry especially, can maybe even say, you know, we can agree to disagree and walk away in a peaceful manner, not have to have a violent confrontation like that, you know, especially after the Tupac and the Biggie and all that stuff. You know, there hasn't been something like that in the news in a long time. It's very unfortunate that happened, but you know, my prayers are with Nipsey's family and his friends and the fans and all the people. You know, thankfully we still got his music. We can listen to his music, so he will still be around for a long time in that way. Okay, and that's on the JAMEEL RAWLS show.